When you look at the richest man alive today, topping the charts of billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, but actually the richest businessman ever lived passed away almost a century ago. In today's video you will look at a business empire so fast that even after 100 years of technological advancement, no one can surpass its founder. This is the history of Standard Oil. This is brought to you by Billion Dollar Business. Visit the link in the description to find out about the amazing deal they have with the provenance of the history of the greatest oil monopoly, which is actually quite modest. It all started in 1839 with the birth of John Rockefeller and upstate New York. He was the eldest son of a traveling merchant who claimed to be a Bottle-Lac doctor but was in fact selling homeopathic medicine. Equivalent to the 19th century, he would be away from home for weeks, and in fact we had several children with another woman whom she decided to bring it home for me, so they can live together, and this very confusing family. John will grow up learning how to push people to get the best deal possible and how to make the most of every penny he gets. His family will rarely stay in one place for long, and John will live this nomadic lifestyle since he is 3 years old to help his mother. John will earn any money he can to buy the turkey we are working on. Working for the neighbors, his intelligence was put to good use when the family moved to Cleveland, Ohio in 1854, where he was given the opportunity to attend a suitable school, but less than a year later John dropped out to work. Accounting job, broken local products. He will make 50 cents per day. This is obviously not much time, so he will help others, but after 2 years working there, his boss refused to give him a substantial raise, so he decided to go above them by starting his own product brokerage business. Thanks to his good reputation, he received a loan of $4,000. By that time, John had started a grain and various meat business, and in his first year he recorded $500,000 in sales, for which he received only a fraction of the commissions. But it was such a huge success that every bank in Cleveland begged John for a loan, and he was only 18. But then in 1859 something happened that would change his life forever. Only 100 miles east of Cleveland, the first American oil well was discovered, which marked the beginning of the Pennsylvania oil boom, and within a year 4,500 barrels of oil would be produced, secured and drilled. But it was okay after that because she had seen so many people go bankrupt before she got into the oil, so he knew the business was too risky for him instead. For ignoring people had trouble finding oil, and he would only buy it from them. John had to wait until 1863 for the government to build a railroad connecting the Pennsylvania oil fields with either, but when the route that was built, of seasoned chemists, and John was ready for it with a long line of partners and banks ready to support. He also assembled a team of engineers who not only optimized refining process, but also discovering various uses for petroleum refining byproducts that you see. The original Cleveland refineries could only operate at about 60% efficiency, but John not only increased that percentage, but he also started sending out byproducts like paraffin wax towers and naphtha within 2 years, and the factory, the Rockefeller refinery, was worth over $70,000 and was one of the largest in Cleveland. But John was still unfinished. 1865 had 26 competing refineries, but within 5 years John had acquired all but 4 among them. Incorporated Standard Oil of Ohio persuaded the few remaining Cleveland competitors to simply invite them in and show them his books, revealing that he could operate at a loss for longer. Their ability to pay in exchange for a good buyback price. John offers his competitors positions in his own company, which is putting the smartest minds in the industry under control. Of course, not everyone will give up immediately, and over time John has eroded oil and kerosene prices sometimes as much as 80% in the order of triangle competitors. Not surprising at this point. The strategy is working for more than 90% of the country's oil production. John was so powerful that he could invite the owners of major railroads and personally negotiate discounts on the use of their trains, but the way in which these behind-the-scenes deals were negotiated really made a difference. Bewildered businessmen. At the time, and still to this day, most industrial goods were transported by rail. Many major industrialists worried that John's abuse of the shipping discount might lead to a similar monopoly themselves in their industries over the next decade. Businessmen, politicians, and the media will attack the Standard Oil with increasing ferocity. Ohio legislators begin drafting antitrust regulations to bring down Rockefeller. but he went one step ahead in 1880 to here incorporated in New Jersey, this time established the Standard Oil Trust, from which stakes and more than 40 local companies came. Introducing his success, John has built an impressive headquarters for his company on Broadway. The moment was the height of Rockefeller's Standard Oil. He owns the 24,000-mile pipeline and employs more than 100,000 people, but his grip on the oil industry is loosening both at home and abroad. Huge oil fields have been discovered in Russia and Asia and are being developed by the Rothschild family, who spared no effort and brought that oil to America, where UPS in 1890 federal government passed Sherman, an act of antitrust has officially allowed politicians to go after Standard Oil. Of course, the complicated legal structure behind all the companies is difficult to investigate. That's why the government could actually part with Standard Oil until 1911. However, by that time, John Rockefeller, if it had been cashed and it was no longer actively managing the company during the last 20 years of its existence, if it had paid over $500 million in dividends, by some estimates the real value is $1 trillion. So the breakup is not really a surprise to most people, and in 1911 the Supreme Court concluded that Standard Oil was guilty of anti-competitiveness and divided the company into 34 separate entities. Of course, John Rockefeller kept his shares in the that company until his death, and in fact, it turned out that the breakup was the most profitable you can see over time, many of which have since merged back together today. For most of the time, most of the remnant and DART employees were part of ExxonMobil, Chevron or BIF, became extremely large companies in their own right. John Rockefeller, his ownership of the successor company made him a rich businessman, lived with an estimated net worth of $4 billion to this day. Beat Rockefeller in the rankings. Even Jeff Bezos himself doesn't seem like you to get there, but there is one thing that Jeff Bezos did John Rockefeller never got his hands on despite all his money, and that's his access to the Dollar Shave Club. I mean, looking at them it's clear that this man cares a lot about how he looks and feels at his best. But guess what, the two of you can experience the Sentinel Daily Essentials Kit Splendor of Dollar Shave Club, which, by the way, new members can get for as little as $5. That includes shaving shower gel and a Charlie's butt wipe to really make you feel special, and if that's still not enough, you also get their executive razor, so really you're getting a great deal. Became a member of a club so prestigious that John Rockefeller could not under any circumstances. Thank you for watching.